So the NBA playoffs is going on right now, and it is often regarded as a place for players to make a name for themselves. It's where legends are born. I mean, this is where guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, all these guys have made their legacies in the NBA playoffs. You also have guys like Jimmy Butler who have literally made an identity off just being great in the postseason and not really caring about the regular season. Kawhi Leonard also had made a career off that. More story is the postseason is a time for players to become legends and solidify their legacy. But today I want to focus on some players that didn't solidify their legacies through the postseason. Actually, it did the opposite. I want to focus on 5 players whose NBA careers were literally destroyed because of one bad series, one bad game, and in some cases, even one bad play. And the one bad play, I obviously have to start off with probably the most famous player to destroy his career off in NBA playoff game, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is the most searched player in the NBA if you try to look up ruined career or destroyed career or ruined potential. Like, I think every NBA YouTuber has made a video over Ben Simmons. This is my first one. Okay, I'm here now. I feel like every NBA YouTuber makes a video over Ben Simmons because 1, it gets clicks, and 2, it's such a compelling story for someone like Ben Simmons and the downfall he had. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of the details, but for anyone that might not know about the Ben Simmons stories, here's a quick breakdown. Ben Simmons was the #1 player in the country out of high school, and he went to LSU because he wanted a place where he basically can dominate the ball and not really have to care about school or basketball in general, because he was going to the NBA after one season. After a phenomenal college career where he averaged 19 points and 12 rebounds, he didn't even go to class for the second half of the year and went straight to training for the NBA and was the first overall pick. Now, Ben was a 6'10" point guard, and everybody knew he was going to be great. Like, if you saw any of his high school tapes or how he was in college, this was a guy who could literally score at will, who was an elite passer and a great rebounder, and was phenomenal on the defensive end. He really had he had a big weakness in his game, which is 3-point shooting, which we're not really going to talk about, but he had one big weakness, and outside of that, he was pretty much a flawless player. In his first year in Philly, he actually was out for his entire rookie season due to injury, but in his second year, or his actual rookie season, however you want to look at it, he did win Rookie of the Year when he averaged 15.8 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. An insane stat line for somebody who's first year playing professional basketball. It was clear that Ben was worth the hype. Everybody was like, yep, this is the next guy. People were calling him the light-skinned LeBron James at the time. I mean, we even have that infamous clip of Colin Cowherd saying that we no longer need LeBron James because Ben Simmons is here.
But for the first time in 10 to 12 years, I look at the NBA, which I've watched for 4 decades, and I say this now with Ben Simmons. Hey, LeBron, we're good, bro. You can go. You don't have to. You can hang around. Still great, but you can go. We're all good here.
At the time, that take seemed extremely valid. Like, Ben Simmons was really that good. And even as a guy who's always like LeBron, I was also on the bandwagon of like, yeah, Ben Simmons might be that guy. I was in a debate with my friends who I said Ben Simmons was better than Jason Tatum and was going to have a better career. And at the time, it didn't seem crazy. He was a better two-way guy than Tatum at the time. He was averaging basically around the same points, and he had not shot any jumpers basically his entire career. It was like, yeah, Ben Simmons really might just be that guy. That all changed in the 2021 NBA playoffs when the Sixers were facing off against the Atlanta Hawks. Now, this was a series where the Sixers were heavily favored, and they were forced to make their way all the way to the conference finals and even the finals this year, for being honest. But for some reason, this entire series, Ben just seemed off. He only attempted 3 shots in all 7 fourth quarters in this series, and that was mainly because he was just afraid of getting fouled and having to shoot free throws because he was a poor free throw shooter. The defining moment came in Game 7 when Ben Simmons made a phenomenal move to the rim and had no one left but probably 5'10", 6 foot Trae Young at the rim, and he decided to dish the ball off for his teammate to get fouled and to go to the free throw line. I mean, this was a wide open dunk, and it's still mind blowing to me. Like, today, why wouldn't you at least try to lay it in, you know? But to pass, it was obvious that Ben was in his head. The Sixers ended up losing that series, and he was basically blamed for the downfall of Philadelphia because of his passiveness. And everybody was running that clip. I mean, that clip was everywhere. Like, look at Ben. He's so soft. Ben. And it didn't help that his head coach, which this is still horrible to me to this day, basically said that he didn't believe that Ben Simmons could be a championship point guard.
Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become.
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now. So I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, so after that series, Ben Simmons became public enemy number 1 in Philadelphia. I mean, to this day, bro, if I talk to a Sixer fan, they hate Ben Simmons. Like, they hate, bro. They booed him in his first game back. Like, they cannot stand Ben Simmons. Philadelphia absolutely hates that guy. And part of the reason is because he was on a really big contract, and then he would sit out the entire next year because of an injury, but we all knew it was mainly because of mental health problems. He really just didn't want to play in Philly. Philly's a hard place to play. And then the following season, he was traded to Brooklyn. And from there, his career just kind of took a downward spiral and never was the same. He never averaged double digits the rest of his career. And this year, he only played in 18 games and averaged 2.9 points for the Los Angeles Clippers. One play that has changed his entire career from being compared from Magic Johnson and LeBron James to now being a 28-year-old who should be in his prime who can't even see the court on most nights. It's arguably the worst fall off we've ever seen in NBA history, especially for somebody who was so good to just completely destroy his career over one game in the playoffs. Not even one game, one play. In 2020, the Los Angeles Clippers were NBA favorites, and trust me, all I heard about was the Clippers at this time, even though I was a Laker guy, and everybody knew that the Lakers were low-key the better team, but no one wanted to admit it. That's for another video, but it was mainly due to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George coming in the offseason and the Clippers being the new kings of LA. Paul George at the time was regarded as one of the top 5 two-way players in the entire league, and he was really that good. Going into the 2020 playoffs, PG, or better known as Playoff P, was gearing up to help lead this Clippers team to an NBA championship. In the second round, they found themselves up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets, and the series was practically over. And the long-dreamt LA rivalry of the Lakers versus the Clippers in the conference finals was about to happen. But after failing to close the Nuggets out in Game 5, the Clippers allowed the Nuggets to come all the way back and force a Game 7. In the Game 7, the Clippers really just got blown off the court. They looked horrible the entire game. They lost 104-89, and it was just a laughable offense. I still remember this game to this day. Like, as a Laker fan, man, I loved that day. I could talk about that day for a long time. But that was a very embarrassing Game 7. But no one looked worse than Playoff P. Playoff P had a performance of 4 for 16 and only scored 10 points in the game and had one of the worst misses you'll ever see in a playoff game. PG's performance was so bad that people started nicknaming him Pandemic P instead of Playoff P. Unlike Ben Simmons, PG still had a pretty good career after this playoff blunder. I mean, his next year is arguably one of his best years of his career, and he still made 3 All-Star games after 2020. So you might be wondering, how did his career become destroyed? Well, honestly never outlived the nickname Pandemic P. Despite some great playoff performances, people still looked at him for how bad he was in 2020, and just it kind of stuck with him. And the Clippers really didn't have much playoff success. They had one conference finals appearance in 2021, then the next year they missed the playoffs, and the next couple years I don't even think they got out the first round. They might have got to the second round a couple, and then Paul George was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers this past season. Now, when he went to the Sixers, it was a hope that he would be kind of like the second or third option to help out Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Actually, the worst we've ever seen him. This very slow decline he was having has sped up a lot. He failed to average 20 points for the first time in his career since 2015. And this PG that we see on the Sixers is really, I can't even recognize bro anymore. Honestly, like everyone says, he's a podcaster now. His podcast is called Podcast P. Yeah, he loves the word P. So Podcast P. Honestly, that's probably been the best help to his reputation for people to stop calling him Pandemic P. But he's really a podcaster now at this point because he really was not good this year on the Sixers, and he didn't really look like he really was comfortable being there. Podcast P, I think he actually has one of the best podcasts on YouTube, so I do applaud the career change. But ever since 2020, man, like, yeah, bro, Paul George has not been the same Paul George we used to see. The year is 1995. The young Orlando Magic have just completed the upset of the century, defeating Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. The Magic were led by Shaquille O'Neal and arguably had the best starting lineup in the entire NBA. Penny Hardaway at the point, Horace Grant and Shaq down low, Dennis Scott on the wing, and their all-star third option, Nick Anderson. Anderson really helped this Magic team march into the NBA Finals, beating the Bulls, and found themselves up 20 points in game 1 against the Houston Rockets. The Rockets would storm back and make it a game, and with 10 seconds left, their all-star third option, Nick Anderson, found himself at the free throw line with his team up 3, with only needing one shot to clinch the game. Now, usually when this happens, you want both, but if you make one, it's 4 and the game's usually over. So that's what everyone was thinking. Nick Anderson proceeds to miss the first free throw, and it's like, okay, well, he missed one. Just gonna make the second one. He's a little mad at himself because he was a career 70% free throw shooter, so he wasn't a bad shooter at any means. And then he proceeds to miss the second one. But luckily for him, he gets his own rebound and he gets fouled again, so he gets 2 more free throws. Now, no way Nick Anderson's going to miss another 2 free throws. Just make one, the game is over. He proceeds to miss both. 4 straight free throws, and he opens the door. The Houston Rockets end up coming back and win that game, and after, it was honestly over from there. The Rockets did go on to sweep the series, and you can say, well, it's only one game. Well, Nick Anderson just was a shell of himself ever since then. Even after that game, they said he was in the locker room with his head down for so long that they literally had to pick him up and throw him in the shower because bro was just devastated. He would later say that those free throws kind of stuck with him for years, as it basically ruined his confidence in himself. I mean, he went from being a 70% free throw shooter to shooting a dismal 40% from the free throw line the next year. And not just only those 4 free throws kind of ruined his career, it really ruined the Orlando Magic. That was their best chance of winning an NBA championship. From there, they end up losing, and I don't know if it's that year, but I think a year or 2 after, Shaquille O'Neal ends up leaving and goes to the Los Angeles Lakers. Penny never turned out to be the guy we think he's going to be. The Orlando Magic kind of disband, and Nick Anderson has never been Nick Anderson again. And his career was basically over. He was never able to recover from missing 4 straight free throws in that game. And to this day, it's still a thing that a lot of Magic fans talk about, is the missed opportunity. Like, how do you miss 4 free throws, bro? You're up 3. But his career was basically over from that moment. Roy Hibbert used to be one of my favorite big men in the NBA. I don't know why. Maybe because it was NBA 2K and he was nice in 2K, but he was one of my favorite big men. But in 2014, he was actually one of the best bigs in the league. He was a 2-time All-Star and was one of the big reasons why this Pacer team led by Paul George was one of the hottest teams in the whole league. The Pacers were really the only serious contender in the East to even compete with LeBron James and Miami Heat at that time. And Roy Hibbert was a big reason for that, until he put up one of the worst performances in NBA playoff history. 0 points and 0 rebounds in 27 minutes on the court. He became the first center since 1995 to have a 0.0 rebound playoff game. That game wasn't just a one-off. No, Roy Hibbert was absolutely horrible in this playoffs. According to ESPN, he had one of the worst postseasons of any player named to an All-Star team earlier that year in NBA history. This was rock bottom for Roy Hibbert, and he was traded the following year after this postseason to the Los Angeles Lakers. In LA, there was hope that Roy would kind of be able to get back to that All-Star level, and people would be like, oh, well, Roy just had a bad postseason. Like, he's still him. But it just never really panned out for him. It didn't really work in LA. He looked uncomfortable, and he was out the league in 2 years. I don't fully blame this on Roy. Yeah, obviously, the performance he put up in the playoffs was absolutely horrendous, bro. It was horrendous, and you had 0 points and 0 rebounds, which I do blame on you. It's no one else's fault but yourself. But I also don't blame him for what kind of happened after. The NBA changed on Roy overnight. I mean, he was a shot blocking big who could dunk the ball, who was solid in the post, but wasn't amazing in the post. And then everyone went to kind of a stretch big that could guard 1 through 5 and was a little bit quicker on their feet, and he just wasn't that guy. So because he wasn't really playing at an all-star level anymore, he just really wasn't needed, and he kind of became a dinosaur now in the modern NBA and essentially played out the league. But it really all started from that terrible game where he had 0 points and 0 rebounds. Now, I think we have to talk about John Starks in honor of the New York Knicks making to the Eastern Conference Finals. Man, give it up for the Knicks. Do I have like a round of applause thing on here? I don't know. I'm going to put it like in the sound effects. We're going to put some claps. Man, the Knicks ain't been in the the Eastern Conference Finals in so long. They actually might make the finals. By the time this comes out, hopefully I edit it before, because game 1's today. Hopefully I edit by the time the series is still going. In honor of them, let's talk about John Starks. In 1994 was the last time I think the Knicks really had a good chance of winning the NBA championship, and it was supposed to be their year. Everyone in New York thought that this Knicks team was going to be the one to win a championship. And through 6 games, they were going toe-to-toe with the Houston Rockets, and John Starks was having an incredible series. In game 6, he dropped 27 points and almost had a chance to close out the Houston Rockets, but was blocked by Hakeem on the game-winning attempt. Now, John was crucial for this entire series because Ewing was being suffocated by Hakeem, who is one of the greatest defenders of all time. So you really needed John to kind of get stuff going, to be a spark. But the night before game 7, John was still up, kind of struggling to get some sleep because he was still thinking about the chance he had to close out the series. And that lack of sleep was a major factor. John played one of the worst games of his entire career. He shot 2 for 18 from the field and missed 11 3-pointers in a game 7. To this day, still one of the worst performances we've ever seen from a player in a deciding game, especially a guy of John Starks' caliber, and it really ruined Starks and his reputation. It also hurt Pat Riley, who had an unwavering faith in John Starks and refused to take him out the game despite him breaking up shot after shot. And it's something that Pat Riley to this day says he regrets not pulling John out and putting in a backup point guard. But he stuck with his guy and it burned him. The Knicks would end up losing that game, and ultimately they lost the series in 7, and that was just kind of the end of the Knicks. The team that we saw and dominating the 90s was basically no more, and the team was never the same. And John Starks would go from being one of the most loved New York players to one of the most hated, and his career never recovered from that night. When we talk about people who ruined their one moment, there's no better example than Judas from the Bible. Judas was one of the 12 disciples, and he even walked with Jesus. He heard all the teachings, saw the miracles, knew he was the Son of God, all these great things. When it came down to it, he turned Jesus in for some change. For 30 pieces of silver, he betrayed Jesus. Now, what's crazy about that story is that Judas was literally a disciple, literally one of the people that Jesus decided to bring around him. Like, he didn't bring that many people around him. He was one of the 12 guys to walk with Jesus, had a great legacy, and one bad decision ruined his entire name. I mean, to this day, the name Judas is still a symbol of betrayal, and people actually refuse to even name their kid Judas because of what happened to him in the Bible. And it's wild because it's very similar to these NBA All-Stars. These NBA All-Stars were future Hall of Famers, #1 overall picks, guys who were going to have maybe even statues. In Ben Simmons' case, probably a statue in Philadelphia. And just because of one small mistake, their career's over. And Judas's, it wasn't one small mistake, it was a pretty big mistake, but still, his legacy is tarnished. And here's the hardest part to swallow. Judas never gave himself a chance for redemption. After realizing what he'd done, he was so overwhelmed that he took his own life. He never stuck around to see what Jesus would do next or if he would forgive him. He never even gave grace a chance. And honestly, that's the story of these 5 NBA players. Despite having great NBA careers and limitless potential, and like I said, they were literally going to be in the Hall, some of them were going to be in the Hall of Fame, one series, one game, one moment defined their legacies. These are moments to this day they're still talked about. Like I said, Ben Simmons is still hated, and people talk about him passing up that shot all the time. And unfortunately, that's kind of the legacy that he has now. No one will ever look at how great he was before that moment, similar to John Starks or Roy Hibbert. It's a cautionary tale, but that's just how sports are. Anyways, I'm done yapping now, and I just want to kind of talk about some of the downsides, I guess, of the NBA playoffs. I feel like we always talk about guys who made their legacy in the playoffs, rightfully so, because those are great stories, but you know, sometimes the playoffs isn't friendly to everybody, man. It's a very high intense moment, and fans care about this way more than they care about anything else. Like, if any of these plays would have happened in a regular season game, no one would have cared. We would have just moved on. But because you did it in the postseason, yeah, your whole life now is defined by that moment. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are enjoying the playoffs so far. My team is out. I've been out since the first round. Conference finals going on right now by the time I record. I don't know if the finals will be on by the time I edit. Hopefully I get out before. But your conference finals going on right now. I'm going to say my predictions on camera right now. I'm going with New York. Man, that other series is hard. I'm going New York versus I'm gonna go Minnesota, and I'm gonna take Minnesota winning it all. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm not fully confident 'cause I really don't know, man. I had Denver, and then Boston wants to get out. I don't know. I don't know. This playoffs is weird. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy the playoffs. Have a great day. Leave a comment about a player I missed out on whose legacy I forgot, and tell me how your team's doing. Other than that, love you guys. Have a great day. And as always, God bless.